Hello and welcome to this edition of the Ferrell Phelps Show. My guest today is Mr. Troy Finner, Assistant Chief, HPD. Now this is a show that I have been wanting to do for quite a while because of so many things that are happening in our community between police officers and community. So this amazing man is here to talk about that with me today. Thank you and welcome to the show.
My pleasure for being here. Sorry for the wait. Been a little bit busy, but I'm here today. So
well, you know what? God's timing is perfect, I say.
All right.
So I'm sure this is the perfect time for you to be here. You know, one of the reasons that I really wanted HPD to be on the show was to represent police officers. I know HPD represents Houston very well. So I wanted to come to HPD to have this type of discussion. Therefore, I reached out to you.
Well, I appreciate it. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. Now, some of the things that are important to the community is the way that the police officers are interacting with the community. This is based on things that we're seeing so much in the media, where police officers and the citizens of the community have a big gap.
Yes.
I want to bridge the gap through this conversation, through this dialogue. I want to educate the community, and I want to make a difference with what we're doing in the community as well as what you guys are doing as officers.
Well, thank you.
Now, one of the things let's talk about some things that have taken place in the past. Let's talk about Sandra Bland, that we saw in the media most recently. And the world truly feels like it was a misuse of authority with police officers. There's a number of varying opinions on that. If you don't mind, I'd like to ask you your thoughts. Have you seen that tape?
Yes, I've seen the tape, and I want to preference one thing, and I always do if it's an HPD case. Being assistant chief, I have an opportunity to look at every part of it.
Okay.
Every from the start to the end, whatever evidence we have or whatnot. That's not the case with this one. But let me say this. First of all, praying for her family. She shouldn't have been arrested from what I saw, but whereas there's room for improvement on both sides,
Okay.
I say it was, okay? And I'm sorry.
That lets you know how busy we are here.
Yeah. There's room for improvement on both sides. And going forward, it's important to discuss what we learned from this.
Yes.
Miss Bland, unfortunately, is deceased, and we can't bring her back. But what can we learn?
Right.
And what I always say, on the streets out there, no matter what police officer you're dealing with, be respectful. If something's going wrong, get home safely. Give yourself an opportunity to get with your family or whoever your representative is, and come later and file a complaint on that officer. That's the best way to do it. So I wish things would have been a little bit different.
And I would say that's certainly a lesson that we can learn here of what he just said, to file a complaint. So not so much sit there and argue back and forth with the officer, because we won't win.
You're not going to win out on the streets. And let me be honest and frank with what I'm talking about, because open, honest dialogue is what we need in this day and age, and we have to. Even when the truth hurts.
Yes.
On either side, because at the end of the day, we're nothing without our community. As far as law enforcement goes, we need to work with our community, not against them.
Exactly.
We have to be a team. There's so much going on globally. You see what's going on in France. We have to come together so we can really fight the real enemies. We got to clear police misconduct,
Right.
And build more trust within our community. So that's what we're here to do today, and hopefully the listeners and people here today, we're going to learn from each other.
Good. Good. And that's what it's supposed to be like. That's what it's supposed to be like. And now when we talk about the trust factor, what are some of the things that you believe that police officers could possibly do in the community to gain that trust factor?
Well, trust is important in every relationship. Police in the community, intimate relationships. If you don't have that trust, you really don't have a relationship. So you first start out by making yourself available to whatever citizen or whatever area you are. Try to get to know something about them. Common grounds, because wherever you're from, whatever you do, it's very easy if you just open up a dialogue with people and find some common grounds. And then when you do that, it opens the doors for a better relationship, where they can share information with us, trust us enough to, give us information on criminals in the area, or if they're having problems, trust us enough to speak to us. And then when they see something that's wrong with police misconduct or whatever's going on, trust us enough to know, hey, you know what, there's an avenue where I can come in and file a complaint, or, to make things better. So the trust factor is very important, but we're the professionals.
Right.
And we understand the relationship is strained. It's for a number of reasons, but it's strained. Let's do something about it.
Yes, please.
Our chief of police, Chief McCullen, for 6-7 years now, has put it high on his agenda for each of us, the command staff and on down, to reach out, engage the community, especially those young men and young women, but mainly young men in the inner cities who we come into conflict with. Get out, do programs, meet them where they are, let them know, what, we're not against you guys. We all have to live in this area together, this world together, and we have work to do, but we can do it respectfully. Do your part in being respectful, but even going farther, we have to make ourselves available in the schools, wherever they are. That's where we need to be, to form relationships with them. Not so much, when something is going on that's heated. The time we spend with them before the storm gets there, that's what's important. That's where you build those relationships, and then when things get a little heated, hey, I know Officer Jones, I know Officer Fenner, I know I can trust that person, I can talk to him. And that's where, to me, that's where it all starts.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's starting to bridge the gap before it even comes into the teenage years. And a lot of times with the young kids, they're at that age, they're very formidable ideas. We have to get in there at a very early age to make a difference, so that they lead their lives in a positive manner.
Right.
So I think that should probably start as far as relationships with police officers, like in elementary school probably, huh? Or junior high,
the
or
earlier we can start,
the better, huh?
The better, but there is a manpower issue, and it's always, we've done, an outside agency done a study, and they said, that we're 1,200 officers short. Okay. Now, with that said, we can't sit back and use that as an excuse. We have to use our resources the best that we can, but we have to fight the crime. But a part of, to me, fighting crime is starting to build those relationships with those young men and young women in the inner city at the earliest age.
Right.
Now, high schools, it's a must that we get in there. We have to get in there and spend some time with them. And it could be formal programs, but a lot of work needs to be done informal as well. It's just a general relationship with, when I was coming up, I was born in 5th Ward, raised in Hiram Clark. I had no police officers in my family.
Okay.
I didn't have a positive relationship with police. I didn't have a negative relationship with them either. We didn't have a relationship. So hopefully, in moving forward, our department, can put officers out in those areas, and we avail ourselves to the youth to have some kind of relationship with them, so get them to understand, some of our police procedures and what's going on, because it's so funny when you first meet a young man or young woman, they think, well, you know what, you're subhuman or you're above human. Or no, we're human. We're just like,
right.
You are. We make mistakes. We try to do the best thing, and so that's the start.
That's definitely a start. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in just a moment when we come back with more of the Ferrell Phelps Show. You guys stick around. All right, welcome back to this edition of the Ferrell Phelps Show. For those of you that may be just joining us, we're actually here talking to HPD Officer Assistant Chief Troy Finner. And we are talking about bridging the gap between community and police enforcement. Now, when we left off, we were talking about the different things in the community and so forth. I want to ask you, what types of organizations are the police involved in that makes a difference in the community?
A number of our organizations, formally and informally. Right off the top, the Citizens Police Academy. This is something that is really, we put it out there, but to me it still seems like it's a big secret.
Okay.
It's in public affairs, but any citizen of Houston can go to the website, and Tree will give me that site here in a second. But
okay.
It's a 10-week, 11-week program where citizens can come in. It's 1 day a week. I think it's 3 hours.
Okay.
You learn about police procedures, different operations in the police department. So it is a wonderful, wonderful venue to learn more about your police department. And
okay.
then once you graduate, you become a Citizen Police alumni. So you're forever attached to us, and that's open
really?
to anybody. So that's something, especially our inner city, we want people to know about that. I think, what's the class size? The limit's 30 or so?
30.
And we do it twice a year now?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's a good program. Also, our monthly PIP programs, Positive Police Interaction. They meet at least once a month at every subdivision in the city, and that is open to everybody. So if you live at Northeast and Northeast is the closest up, partner up with that captain and those people out there. This is an opportunity. You come together, you discuss crime issues, you discuss quality of life issues, whatever you want to, and you have the direct ear of the captain and his lieutenants and sergeants at that station, all the resources there. So that's a way that, people really need to get involved. A lot of times people are out making a lot of noise, and I don't want this to be negative, understand what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not talking to the right people, letting them know what's actually going on, the people who can make a difference, that's a problem. But those are two avenues, and then once a month, there's a citywide PIP where all of the chiefs, all of the captains for the whole city will meet once a month at the police union building. So everybody is invited to that, and before this is over, I'm going to give you the date on it, because I forgot,
okay.
but I know it's once a month.
And what we'll make sure they do is actually go to that website so that they can get the information. And what we're going to do is make sure we list the information at the bottom of our show so they can see it along with the website and that type of thing, email address and all that. That is great information. I had no idea, but that's one of the ways that we as citizens can get involved. And that way, that's going to help to bridge the gap. And these are the things that we wanted to do. We want to bridge the gap. I, for one, I was clueless that this type of organization even existed, where we could actually go out into the community and interact with officers and learn more about the police. So this is great information for me, and I'm going to do it myself.
And also ride along and I'm gonna hold y'all to that.
I'm definitely doing ride along.
We're looking for a diverse group, just as our department. Everybody knows Houston is the most diverse city in the nation. So we need perspective and insight and input from all groups, so definitely take those opportunities. Also the ride-along programs, and you can sign up or go to the nearest station, substation, and sign up to do a ride-along. There is probably a 72-hour waiting period on that, because we do have to do background checks on people, before we put them in the patrol cars with a police officer, so that's a part of it. But you pass everything and whatnot, I encourage you to do the ride along, because you can see it firsthand what the officer has to deal with. And just sitting in a car, you can do a half shift, a whole shift, whatever you want to do. So that's a great opportunity.
That's excellent. That's excellent. Yeah. I'm going to make a suggestion. Make sure you check your traffic tickets and all that before you decide.
Okay.
But man, that is an awesome program, and I actually had an opportunity to talk to Officer Mott, and she was telling me about the drive along program, and I was like, I got to do that.
Right.
You know, I've always wanted to just see what that experience was like from the other side.
Good experience.
It's a good experience, yeah, because I know you guys have a certain way that you feel too when you're faced with certain situations and circumstances that could be life-threatening, and you too have to go home at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
You have a family just like those people on the street have a family.
Right.
And I know you need to protect your life too.
Absolutely.
Now we talked, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We talked a moment ago about Houston being a diverse city.
Right.
Now, one of the things that, when you talk about diversity, you have various officers from different nationalities.
Right.
A lot of times, what we see in the media is Caucasian officers that have committed a particular, what we've seen as an injustice against African American young men. How do we fix that? Or what's your thoughts on that? And I'm not saying that the officers are always in the wrong either. Let me make sure I make that clear. And we have good officers as well as bad officers. So I definitely want to preface it by saying that.
Let me say this. You have good and bad officers in all races. And want to say that I'm not looking at so much of an officer's race, even though it's a fact that we need to be diverse. Right now, we are a majority police department, you know, and a lot of people don't know that. When you look at the Latino, which is officers is 26%, 21% African American. Both of those numbers are higher than the average of major city police departments. Okay, so when you add those up, we're more than, you know, a Caucasian. So we do have, you know, that representation. But what I want to do and what the chief wants to do, we want good officers in all races.
Yes.
You know, because, you know, there's nothing to say where, you know, because a Caucasian officer is working a predominantly Latino or black area, that person is not going to be effective, you know, because no, I want good people. You know, yeah, we want the diversity. We want good people. And, if an African American officer commits an offense or something against the African American, you know, person or whatnot, it shouldn't matter your race, okay? But I understand that the optics part of it, you know, sometimes in a cultural thing, you know, people might feel more comfortable, you know, dealing with, you know, somebody that looks like them. But as a police department, I want good people, you know, because I'm going to be honest with you. We can't stop sometime and say, well, you know what, Troy Finner wants a African-American officer to come and serve him or his family. It doesn't go like that. You know, we don't have a system where we, you know, downtown and we're saying, well, you know, African-American, you know, when you get, no, we want good people, you know, and people that respect the rights of the citizens, you know, and that's what we're pushing, you know, and every officer is held to that standard, you know, no matter what race it is. But we do need diversity, and we do have it, you know. Now moving forward, everybody needs to be respectful of others' rights, and that's the bottom line.
Yeah.
All right.
I want to talk a little bit also about what is the rights of the citizens. When you're stopped, what rights do you have when you're stopped? Do you have the right to ask the officer, why are you stopping me? Do you have the rights to say, no, I did not do this, no, I did not? I want to talk about that, and we're going to talk about that in just a moment, a little bit more. You guys stick around. We'll be back in just a moment. Welcome back to this edition of the Ferrell Phelps Show. My guest today is Assistant Chief Troy Finner with HPD. I hope you guys are really enjoying the show as much as I have. You know, the purpose of the show is to educate, motivate, and inspire people. And we definitely want to educate people today on the roles of police officers and community, and we want to make a difference. That's what it's all about, making a difference. You know, we don't want to just do something just to do it. We want to make a difference. We want to make an impact. We're getting great information from Mr. Finner here today as it relates to HPD and what they're doing and what we can do by getting involved with police officers through various organizations. Now, one of the things that I wanted to talk about was the rights of the citizens. When we're stopped by police officers, what are our rights? We automatically feel intimidated, number one. What are our rights as citizens if we feel like there's an injustice or we're being mistreated as a citizen?
Every citizen has rights in this city, in our state, in this great nation. Let me preference one thing, and I said early on, the goal is to get home safely. And the majority of, we have probably 400,000, give or take, traffic stops each year with the city of Houston. And the great majority of those end with no complaints, no fact. You either get your warning or you go on. So that's what happens on most of them. But we're not here to talk about those stops. We're talking about the stops where there is an issue, where there is, you know, some discussion or some kind of issue. Now, let me say this. Be respectful to the police officer. The police officer needs to be respectful to anybody we stop. When that does not happen, you know what? Get home. And what I mean by that, empower yourself, empower other family members and friends to tell them what to do. If I'm handled or treated unprofessionally, somebody's violating my rights, whatever that complaint is, we need to know about it. Don't leave from that scene and say, well, you know what, it's just a part of me being in this particular area for whatever reason. No, you're a citizen, you're a taxpayer, and we work for you. How can you trust the police department or go into partnership with the police department, you know, when you feel that you're mistreated and you feel in your mind, well, that's just a part of doing business? No, it's not. No, it's not. But to answer the question, comply with what they're saying.
Okay.
You understand? Now, I want y'all to take one thing in consideration. A lot of times when the officers stop in traffic, we don't know what's in that car, what's going on. When you say, well, why are you stopping? Part of our job, okay? For whatever reason. And if it's, I'm going to say that it's a legal, justified reason, not somebody profiling somebody or doing, that's a problem within itself. Mm-hmm. A legal, justified traffic stop. The officer, the first concern is going to be from that officer, his or her safety, okay? When you automatically jump out the car and start saying, you know what you stopping me for, what not, red sign's going to go up. Sit down in the car, put your hands where it's visible, just relax. You know, you don't have to hold your hands up, just keep them on the steering wheel. If you're a passenger in the vehicle, you know what, put your hands where he or she can see you. And just wait for them. They'll tell you, hey, well, ma'am, sir, I need to see your driving license. They should say, well, you know what, you know, Officer Finner, I'm stopping you because, you know, you ran that light or whatever. I need to see your driving license and insurance. Just let that process go. Don't jump to conclusions, you know, and you're starting, you know, or putting that officer, you know, at an uncomfortable feeling like, well, okay, why is he or she attacking me or whatnot, okay? Now, let me say this. I'm not here today and any day that I go out and talk to the public to make excuses for anybody's misconduct or their unprofessional behavior. I absolutely don't tolerate it. Chief of Police don't tolerate it. So when that happens, if you got a nut out there with a badge, get home safely. You're not, once they stop you, you know early on, if this person is not being fair to me, why get into a confrontation with he or she out there on the street? It just doesn't make sense.
So the thing to do in that situation now, how important is a badge number?
That's where I was going. Thank you. You get a badge number, you get a name. If they say, well, you know what, I don't have to give you my name and whatnot, everybody should have that name tag on, okay? Now, if they don't have it on, sir, can I have your name? Okay, if they clown about that, try to get a number off the car. If you can't do that, guess what? Every patrol car in the city of Houston has a tracking system on an AVL system. So we know. And so if you get stopped at FM 1960 and Kirk and 45, okay, guess what? If you got the time and the date, we can determine who's there.
And not only that, but they also have to have their name on the ticket that they
absolutely
that they end up giving you.
Absolutely.
As
So
well, right?
don't get caught up so much. Well, I got to get this name. Yeah, it helps if you can see the name, and every officer should be respectful enough. That's our policy. Somebody asks our name and our badge number, we give it to them. That's part of our policy.
Let me ask you this. We'll take it a step further. Once I file a complaint, how do I, as the citizen, know that the complaint isn't falling into the hands of your friend,
right,
at the police department,
right,
and just thrown away, or just does that make sense?
We take absolutely. That's that trust factor, and that's that thing of being transparent and allowing people to know. We take all complaints seriously. So all complaints, it's not just reviewed by one individual. You know, if there's a divisional complaint, if it's a lower minor complaint, it's investigated at that division.
Okay.
But once that is complete, lieutenant, captain has to look at it. Then it comes up to the assistant chief, for a review. So I reviewed it, and then if it's a sustained complaint, it's going to go to a further review. We have a committee of citizens, police officers of each rank that reviews that.
So it's basically a chain of command.
Right. They're going to review it, and it's different levels of review. We don't leave that up to just one person.
Okay.
So that's the process, and a lot of people don't know that. A lot of times they say, well, how can y'all police yourself? We need outside review. Every level at this police department, whenever we have new policies and new procedures, we have an IPART board. That's a board of citizens from all over the city. They're a part of it. They're on our discipline committee. They're on our recruiting committee. Any major policy that we get, they're on there, and a lot of people don't know that, So
is that considered the citizens?
It's a citizen review board. We call it IPART.
Gotcha. Okay. And I've heard of that throughout life. Never really knew exactly what it meant until right now, which is great because that's what this show is all about. Learning something. Now I know there's people out in the audience that want to ask some questions. I want to start with Christopher. Chris, you mentioned having a question earlier.
And now it's changed. I'm very interested. How would you become a part of the Citizens Review Board?
That is the mayor selects them. Now, what she or he does, city council and anybody can make a recommendation of, well, hey, I want Mr. Jones to be a part of it. That goes through the mayor's office, so they select them. But I will tell you, it's a diverse group. It's individuals from, affluent areas, inner city areas or whatnot, different races and whatnot. So right now how it's set up now, we have seen changes when different mayors come in, but I guarantee you we're going to have a citizen review board, whatever we name it, and normally, they select the final list. Now if I'm mayor or if I'm city council, I'm going to want people who represent the actual community, because you know what, I still have to get those votes, so I don't think it's something where, and I haven't seen it as just, well, this is my good friend, and it's people that truly represent different segments of the community that's part of this, so I think it's a good thing,
Okay, fantastic. I think we have another question as well.
I have a question as well. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to say that I totally agree with what the officer was saying, simply because I was a CHL holder, concealed handgun license. I got it at the age of 21. I'm 42 now. I lost my concealed handgun because I said a profane word while talking on the payphone in the Brazoria County Courthouse. I got disorderly conduct by use of abusive language, which was a $212 fine, because an officer heard me talking to a relative on the phone. I lost my license. My license was suspended because a Class C misdemeanor suspends your license when you're a concealed handguns holder. But here it is 15 something odd years later. When I get pulled over, it still shows when they type my license plate that I have a suspended concealed handgun license.
And you get
So
treated
the-
a different way.
Right, so
when
the
you-
first question that the officer asks me every time they walk up when
Do you
I
have a
get pulled
concealed
over
weapon?
is, do I have a weapon in the car?
And you'll get searched.
Well, I usually beat them to the pack by saying that I do not have any guns or drugs in my car, and I consent to search because I know how important it is for the officer's safety, especially when they type it in and see
Right.
that I was once licensed to carry a gun.
And the good thing about that is that you're educated well enough about it to use the right approach at the time that that happens. to you.
Yes, yes.
That's the benefit of that.
Good point,
Wouldn't
sir.
you agree?
Yes.
Is there another question
Yeah,
from the
I have a
audience?
question. When a police officer takes a side job
Mhm.
with his uniform to protect private property,
Mhm.
every private property has their rules of conduct of being in the property.
Mhm.
Law has his law,
Mhm.
and private property has their own law.
Right.
Who wins?
Well, it's real
Who
easy
wins?
for HPD.
I mean, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
wins? Who
Real-
wins that
real-
decision?
Real easy for us, and let me tell you why. We don't enforce any house rules. We are still bound by departmental policies and procedures, state and local law. So you won't see a police officer enforcing, private house rules. And if they do and we find out about it, you know what? We're going to remove their extra job privileges and give them some days off.
Let me
So
give you an
it's
example.
really easy with us.
Let me give
Go
you.
ahead.
Let me give you an example. If you are disobeying let's just say you're disobeying the property rules of conduct of how you're supposed to act
Mhm.
in the private property, they have their,
Mhm.
and you're supposed to be asked
Mhm.
to stop doing what you're doing 2 times, and then if you disobey, you can be banned from the from ever coming back into the property, and if you still don't listen, then you get arrested.
Well,
But if
let me, because I don't want to cut you off, but you're bringing up some points. There's a difference between if you're having a problem with the property owner who has care, custody, control of that particular property, and if that person says, okay, Mr. Joe, you have to go. And if a police officer comes in and say, well, you know what, sir, they're asking that you leave. They have care, custody, and control, and if you don't leave, don't make it a police matter. Right now, it's just a matter between you and that person. But if it's my property, I have a right, because if it's a police officer working an extra job, they're going to handle it. But if it's not a police officer, it's still a violation of law on trespassing. You're going to get a patrol unit and you're going to get the same result. So if they ask you to relieve the property for whatever reason.
Can you use bodily? Are you allowed to use bodily for just?
I'm gonna help
Right.
you out. I'm gonna
Right.
help you out
Right.
as well, so you can better understand the direction that he's going in and what he's talking about.
Okay.
His son was Jesse Valdez, the young man who was
Okay.
stopped in Willowbrook Mall for being on the Segway. And so what he's
Yeah.
relating to is that particular case as
Right.
it relates to the officers coming in,
Right.
this, that, and the other. So
Right.
that's what he was trying to get a good clarity on.
Okay. Was that an HPD case or was it?
No.
It was not. It's precinct
okay.
4.
I remember. Okay.
Precinct
I
4.
got you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And
So
it
that
was a
wasn't
little
HPD,
bit
that was,
different. That's why
precinct
I didn't want to even bring it.
Yeah.
That's okay.
In that
Well, I
light
mean,
after that, because
yeah.
the
That's why I'm here
circumstances
for
are
concerns,
different.
and I want
Right.
answers on the police side of
Absolutely.
what's right
Right.
and what's wrong.
Right. Right.
And that's why
So
we have
can
this
be
type of...
educated. I want to be educated about
Absolutely.
it. You know, 'cause
Absolutely.
Right.
And that's why
Right.
he's here, so that
Right.
we can get that education, get that understanding,
I
and,
mean, the level.
and stay alive.
Yes.
You know, at the end of the day. At the end of the day, and we can definitely have a few more questions, perhaps after we're done too.
Yeah.
Yes.
If at all possible too.
Absolutely.
But I really, really, really appreciate you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come here and talk to us today,
Wow.
to educate the public and the community. I think we have definitely learned a lot. Wouldn't you guys agree?
Yes,
I
sir.
agree.
Just by being here today. And I know you have
true
a
pleasure. True pleasure. Just do me a favor. Things that we discuss and we learn from one another, because I've learned some things. Please spread that.
Mhm.
Let people know.
Yeah.
Let people know about the programs that we have, and we're in the business of building relationships.
Yes.
And out of 5,200 or so sworn officers, know there's going to be some times where some of them out there misbehaving. And when they do that, empower yourself, empower your community, empower the people who are being victimized. Report that to us. You know, it's not what we stand for. The great majority of us are good, decent people. You know, so just remember that. But I'm not here, and I'll tell you in leaving, I'm never going to sit up and make excuses or justify misconduct by any police officer or any person for what that. We have higher standards here, and we want to uphold them. We want to be the best and most professional police department in the nation, and that's going to come with true partnership with everybody in our community. Okay?
Absolutely.
Thank y'all.
Absolutely, absolutely. I hope you guys have enjoyed this edition of the Ferrell Phelps Show as much as I did. I certainly thank Troy, Officer Troy, for coming on and educating us, because I myself learned a lot. And I also want to say, as I said before, not all officers are bad. Not all officers are good. But we are blessed to have a few good officers right here, right now. I can certainly say that. All right, folks. Now, for more information on this show, you can certainly join me, or actually go to my Facebook page. That's Ferrell Phelps. Let's Talk About It show. Or you can simply go to Let's Talk About It 12TV at gmail.com. If you want to send in your notes or make a comment on the show, you can certainly do it that way. And you can go to my website. It's ferrellphelps.com. You'll see a listing of all of our shows right there and all that you need to know. Thank you guys so much for joining me on this edition. Until next time.